Review Subcommittee on Personnel, Public Retirement, and Finance. And we will ask Mr. Secretary if you will please call roll.
Representative Hancock. Representative Jackson.
Present.
Representative Lockett.
Present.
Representative Bowling. Representative Bray. Representative Petrie. Chair Thomas.
Present. All right. So at this time, if I could get the minutes should be in your packets, gentlemen. If I could get a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
And I agree too. So it's only three of us. So all right. So minutes are approved. Gentlemen, Jim, David, if y'all want to take the table, I know y'all have been here before. Make sure that green light is really, really on. And if you don't mind, why don't you stay standing real quick and hold your hand up. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Gentlemen, have a seat. If you could, dark green light, and then make sure you introduce yourself for the record. And then the floor is yours. Do you need any help pulling up your presentation or anything, Jim?
I believe I have it here.
You got it here? Okay.
We're good.
See if it hits the screens there too.
And I'm Jim Barnhart, and CIO, Commonwealth Office of Technology.
And good afternoon. I'm David Carter. I'm the Deputy Chief Information Officer for the Commonwealth Office of Technology. And I'd like to start by thanking you all for your time today, and we appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about our current citizen identity management project that we have underway. I've got a small slide deck, really just going to kind of cover a few things, why we're approaching this project, some of the challenges that we're facing and how we're going to overcome those, a little bit about our approach, and then kind of just a pulse check of where we are on the project to date. Get our presentation started here. As I said, I'm David Carter. I'm the Deputy Chief Information Officer. I'm also the current Chief Information Security Officer. This is very much a security-centric project. It's important to me, and I'll kind of explain why here in a moment. But these are the four key drivers that we have for this project overall. One is that streamlined citizen experience. A lot of our agencies are doing a great job of making investments in modernizing their solutions that our citizens depend on. This intends to modernize their experience in getting in front of some of those systems. Currently, if a citizen has business with multiple cabinets within the Commonwealth, the odds are highly likely that they're going to have multiple logins, they're going to have different login experiences. It's very disjointed. Things are done independently across the cabinets. We want to offer our citizen a more streamlined experience when interfacing with their government. We want them to be able to log in as themselves, use a common identity to access the goods and services that they want across the Commonwealth. We also want to improve the efficiency and cost associated with that. Managing identities in any sort of identity management solution comes at a cost. You have licensing cost, infrastructure cost, management cost. And if we're duplicating that effort across multiple systems, there's opportunity there for us to do that more efficiently, pull that into a cohesive identity management solution, and reduce those costs and overhead. And then we also want to enhance identity security. There's a concept in security called your threat surface. That's the number of things that you have out there that are exposed to potential threat. With multiple identity providers out there providing authentication services for the various applications across the state, that increases our threat surface. If we centralize that, reduce that number of touch points, we're able to reduce our threat surface to a smaller threat surface and allow us to reduce risk a little bit that way. It also gives us the ability to harden and focus our security efforts on a centralized solution, as opposed to, it's easier to guard a building with one door than it is to guard a building with 10. And then we also want to look at the versatility and extensibility that we'll need. There's a couple of things that come into play here. One, IT is not static. It changes over time. Technology evolves. Business needs evolve. And we need to be able to keep up with that in a very agile manner. We also have to be able to handle the ebb and flow. There's things that people may log into monthly. There's things they may log into once a year. We're not going to have consistent levels of usage all across the year. There's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys. And we need to be able to be agile and handle those at different loads at different times. So those are kind of some of the key drivers behind why we're approaching this. And then we want to talk about some of the challenges. We've leveraged our business partnerships with our vendor community to get their understanding of what they see as they deploy solutions like this across the Commonwealth. And there are multiple in the state that do this kind of thing. So we have that resource on tap that we can kind of get their feedback on. But we also reflect on states like Massachusetts, Michigan, Indiana. I think Alaska is also doing it as well. North Carolina has a very mature citizen identity approach. So we get to learn from our other states out there, some of the challenges that they've faced, and it's helped us put together some of those gotchas that we can kind of get in front of with this project. One of the top things is really the diverse technologies that we have to interface with. We have multiple modern authentication mechanisms in the industry right now. Applications use varying different types of authentication, and we need to be able to to interface with all of those different types of technologies. There's different levels of the ability to interface. There may be some legacy applications out there. Those are more challenging because they don't support modern authentication. The solution that we chose helps us get around that challenge by being a sole identity provider solution that specializes in the ability to interface with all of these varying systems. They have a catalog of connections that they can support and establish. So we don't have to worry as much about, can we support that? Yeah, we probably can. Now we can work together to figure out how to interface that system and make it work with the applications in our environment without having to worry so much about, can we support it, can't we support it? We have a large toolbox that we can pull from with this solution. Excuse me. It's that time of year. We also have to worry about the complex application integration. And we're approaching this a couple of different ways. One, the diversity of this product makes it easier to interface to applications. It's a lighter touch. It doesn't need as much deep embedded integration like most identity providers will. But we've also limited our scope, and that's kind of stepping into scope management. If you try to solve all of the problems around identity management at one time, it's overwhelming, and it really complicates your ability to be successful. So we've come out of the gate limiting the scope of this to just the login experience, the authentication, the identity management, and the identity proofing that occurs when somebody logs in. We're not trying to manage who can get to what. We're not managing what's called authorization, which is the permissions. The applications already have that built in. If we try to extract that out of the application and put it in our solution, one, it's harder for the application to interface because you have to fundamentally change how the application works. We're leaving it out of our solution because we don't have the institutional knowledge to really know who gets access to what. That's a business decision. So putting that line of demarcation, it simplifies our approach, it simplifies the abilities for our agencies to use the solution, and it simplifies our ability to manage it going forward. We also have to worry about scalability, again, talking about the ebb and flow. We don't want to build a stadium for the Super Bowl and have it sit empty during spring training. We want to be able to scale and scope that solution without applying a lot of extra cost. The solution we've chosen is a software as a service solution, which is built in a federally certified cloud environment that is extensible, that shrinks and grows as we need it to. So we don't have to worry about having to throw extra resources at those high peak times. It will scale to that and scale back down when it's not needed. And then our adaptability. There's lots of things that you can apply to an identity. There's multi-factor authentication. There's really in-depth identity proofing, further validation people are who they are. Unfortunately, all those come at a cost, and it comes at a usability concern for our citizens. Not everything requires that. Some do, and some should. We have the ability to adapt based on the application, what level of attestation you want for those identities, what level of security you want on those identities. If it's something that's really non-consequential and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money where you don't need to, we don't have to with this solution. We can apply those controls based on the type of application that you're going into. And then the big factor is cost. That's the elephant in the room, and that's something that's probably the most interest for you all based on your committee. We really negotiated this very well with our vendor. We were able to get a really favorable 3-year agreement to get us started on this path. And then we also were able to obtain a two optional years at this fixed cost. So we continue to carry that discount across the next 2 years. So we've got the 3-year agreement plus years 4 and 5 at a fixed cost. And then years 6 and 7, we have a cap on the amount of increase that we could face. So we have predictable costs and very favorable costs that we've negotiated with the vendor. It gets down now to our approach and how we're going to achieve our goals here. You know, some of the challenge is in the journey. The destination is where you want to be, that's your goal, but the challenge is how you get there. So we've learned how to approach this in more of a phased manner. If you try the big bang, this is not something that you can just turn on and everybody plugs into and everybody's happy. We have to grow into this. So we've established an approach that is more of a cycle. The circle that you see in the center, that's the foundation stuff that we've already accomplished. We've got our base requirements set, and we worked with our agency partners to sit with us to help us develop those requirements. And then we also worked with them as we vetted the solution. We wanted to be there with our partners to make informed decisions that these these agencies are going to have to integrate with. And then we've stood up our environments. We've got some technical training in place. We're ready to start executing on bringing some applications in. And that starts with that ring around the outside, and that is a cycle. We'll start with step 2. It's where we're at now. That's our due diligence. We're working with our agencies now to understand the application landscape that we have around us. Consolidation puts infrastructure in the hands of the Commonwealth Office of Technology, but applications remain in the agency because that's a business function. So we're working with our agency partners to understand the technical intricacies of their applications to make sure that we can interface with them effectively. We're going to meet with a lot of agencies. We've already had a couple of discovery sessions with those agencies. We've scheduled 4, and we have 5 that are still outstanding that we need to schedule. But I'll cover that a little bit more when I get into our pulse check. The next step is the application selection. We're not going to go for the big bang where we bring everybody in at one time. That's chaotic. It's hard to be successful doing that. So we're going to find some representative sample applications to get us started and then build on that success over time and continue this cycle. Once we have our applications chosen that are ready, that are in a position to join the solution, we're going to start onboarding those applications, bringing their users into the solution, as well as getting it set up for their specific business needs. And then from there, we're going to go into kind of a monitoring and measuring mode for a short period of time, just to see if we can identify any gaps, any issues, anything that we can build on to make the solution better in the next cycle. And then that cycle starts over again. We go back to our agencies. Okay, have you had any applications that have changed positions? Have you had any applications that have evolved to the point where we can bring you in again? Are there anything that we need to address in the next round? Pick some more applications and go through that process again. And that will go on continuously. IT is not a point in time. Or actually, it is a point in time, and it's going to change over time. So we want to make sure that we continuously revisit our applications, make sure that we're evolving this solution to meet the needs of our agencies. This is what we've accomplished so far to date. We haven't been at this long. We've met with our agencies, and we put together some core functional requirements. This is what we need the solution to do to meet the bulk of the needs of the Commonwealth. It's not the technical how we accomplish it, it's the capability to be able to do certain things. We vetted the solutions. We sat with our agency partners, made sure they were part of the discussion, and we reviewed 4 solutions that already kind of have a presence in the Commonwealth, and worked through those to find the best one that met all of the boxes that we were trying to check off in our requirements. We went into vendor negotiations. We really came down to 2 core vendors, and we had one that stepped up and gave us a really favorable pricing option for the solution. We've established our primary technical team. We have project managers, business analysts, and then also in the agreement that we negotiated, we included professional services at no cost from the vendor that will give us the expertise, the boots on the ground to help us get this done. We've established our base environments. We've stood up our production environment and our development environment so we can begin tuning that to the needs of our agencies and start pulling some of that information in and getting it going. And then we've had technical team training. We've brought our technical teams up to speed on how to use the solution. And that is also part of our cost reduction strategy is, we're kind of following the Chinese proverb of you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Part of the agreement with our vendor is that there's going to be knowledge transfer in place that will allow us to sustain this solution going forward. So we don't have to depend on high-cost professional services engagements. We can carry the bulk of the load of pulling applications in and managing the identities without having to rely on those expensive professional services. And then we've already sent out our initial agency communication, hey, this is coming, this is what we have to offer. Here's what we're hoping to accomplish in the first year. If you join now, you get a little extra attention from the vendor. They're hungry, they're anxious to be successful. So hopefully that was enticing to bring some people to the table, and we're seeing some excitement from our agencies. And we've done our initial discovery in the Finance Cabinet. We've worked with Department of Revenue, who's undergoing their tax modernization effort. And they're already using the same vendor that we've selected for the enterprise. So it's a pretty natural transition to the enterprise solution. We're working with them now to kind of offset some of their costs for their renewal that is coming up. We won't have them in the new solution in time, but I think we can work with the vendor to reduce their costs this year to get some immediate benefit. And then we've sent our discovery request to all agencies. We've had 9 in discussions with us. 4 of those have scheduled their discovery sessions. Now, I don't have next steps here because our discovery sessions are going to take us down that path. It's going to tell us where we go next. Once we have that good due diligent understanding of the complexity of what we're trying to accomplish with these applications, what applications are out there, what are their specific needs, then we'll have better defined next steps. But right now we're in that discovery phase where we're learning what our next steps will be. And that pretty much ends my presentation. I know I kind of went 100 miles an hour, and that was a lot of information, but I'm certainly here for any questions you might have.
Well, we appreciate that. That was very thorough. Do we have a couple questions? Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Jim and David, thank you for being here and for that presentation. It's nice to put a face with Jim Barnhart. I've heard that name 1,000 times on a UK sports broadcast, and now I can say I know Jim Barnhart. But I appreciate you all being here. Just a couple of quick questions. One is this being supported with existing staff, or will additional positions be requested later, I guess would be one thing.
At this time, we are supporting it with existing staff and doing so quite well. As this ramps up, there may be a future need to maybe steal some cycles from other existing staff, but I don't see us needing an exponential increase in staff. And that was another reason for us really going with a managed solution, is that the heavy lift is on the vendor side to keep the solution operational and functional. Ours is to be that bridge between the vendor and the business, with the vendor carrying the majority of the load.
Good. That's good. One more, Mr. Chairman, if I may. What systems or contracts can be reduced or eliminated once this program is implemented?
And that's a great question, and that's part of the economy that we'll see out of this. Is we're going to get an economy of scale out of centralizing our citizen identity solutions. Right now, we'll take a few cabinets for example. They've all got applications that are public facing that are leveraging solutions like. Well, I don't want to mention vendors, but they all have independent licensing for identity management solutions. If we consolidate this, we'll be able to stand down those parts of their agreement, much like I mentioned about Department of Revenue and their renewal coming up. We'll be able to centralize those costs and reduce the duplication that's going on out there for just the identity and access management piece. So it's not like we can stand down a whole system, but we're going to be able to stand down components that carry a cost associated with some of our larger systems. So in the long run, when we split this across, when we get beyond the point where COT is able to fund this ourselves, which we can carry those costs with existing funds through the next 3 years, we get beyond that, then we'll be able to divide that cost equally amongst the participating agencies and ultimately reduce their operational cost, because we're hoping that split will come down below what they're paying today for identity management. Does that make sense?
It does, and I appreciate your answers, and good luck with the process. I know change sometimes difficult. It is for me anyway, but I wish you best of luck with the process you're going through.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yes, Representative Lockett.
Actually, your last statement kind of leads into one of the questions I was going to ask. Do you have you mentioned before about how each agency is kind of doing their own thing when it comes to access and so forth. Do you have any idea what we are currently spending across all agencies for this access?
I don't have those numbers with me. I can certainly see if we can gather that information for you. Because COT is the infrastructure provider, we don't own the application. That's more distributed across the agencies. We can try to gather some of that information for you and get you at least some representative numbers.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful to do that. Also, to kind of looking at the project, we know, I guess more or less know the upfront cost. Do we have any projections in terms of 3 years out, 5 years out, kind of what the cost with continual maintenance and growth is going to be?
I think we do. The licensing that we've negotiated really is all inclusive of what we need as a state. It includes unlimited application onboarding interfaces, and the number count is high enough to cover our citizen population. So we don't anticipate any additional costs. As I mentioned earlier, we've negotiated that 3-year agreement. We've negotiated an option for years 4 and 5 at that fixed cost with that deep discount that we've already negotiated in the first 3. And then years 5 and 7, or 6 and 7, we've negotiated a cap on the amount of potential increase we could face. So that gives us real predictability over time, at least through the next 7 years of what the solution may cost.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you. I'll finish off maybe just a couple quick questions. Does the solution require future upgrades or add-on modules not included in the current pricing? Do you know?
Again, we were very all-inclusive when we worked with this vendor to negotiate this. So it includes all of those components that we should need. It includes all the application interfaces, the stories that they say that's kind of your use cases. It includes those that should carry us as a state without any sort of additional purchases needed. As far as the maintenance and upgrades, that's another benefit of using software as a service. The vendor maintains that and takes care of that for us. So we don't have to worry about that. We're not having to apply updates and purchase updates. They're intrinsically part of the service.
Great. And mention the fixed cost out over the years. Is that the same as your budget request, the fixed cost
It's my understanding we have not submitted any additional budget requests to this. We're able to cover this with the existing COT budget in the first 3 years.
Okay.
When we go beyond that 3 years, COT is a zero-based budget, so we recover our costs through services. So we will likely establish a service for this cost to help divide, kind of slice the pie in smaller pieces and make it appetizing for our agencies to
Okay.
help them maybe reduce some of their operational costs as well.
Awesome. And then last question I had was, what does the timeline look like for this project? I think you've already said it. What happens financially if the project's delayed or deliverables aren't met?
Well, for one, we're going to do our best not to have to worry about that.
That's true.
But that's a great question. The way the solution works and the buy-in that we have from our agencies, I don't feel that's a worry that we really have. The ability for this to adapt easily to applications doesn't present any real hurdles technically to overcome. We're in a favorable position for the first 3 years with COT funding the solution to entice application owners to be part of the solution. We've got so many things in our favor. I think it's going to be challenging for this to fail. And we've got a committed vendor that's working there with us as a partner, and that's one of the things that we value most, at least in the procurements that I'm part of, is that I don't want somebody that's going to generate an invoice for me. I want somebody that is going to be there with me, shoulder to shoulder, as a partner to help us be successful. So I think we've got so many things in our favor. I don't think there's any real chance of failure, but there always is.
Yeah.
There always is. Our investment is the first 3 years. We don't have to continue on. The years 4 and 5, the 6 and 7, those are options. If this does not succeed, we don't need to carry on beyond year 3. But year 3 is already funded, so through COT. So we don't have a lot to lose at this point. We've already made the investment. We're ready to get return on that investment.
So if it's successful, then years 4 and 5 might need some funding, but we'll see at that point, because the costs, I guess, would go down a little, wouldn't it, or so?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, because we're not going to be including some of the professional services because we've learned to fish.
Because you've learned how to do them. Yeah.
So, but we do anticipate that the ability for us to recover that by dividing that across a rated service for our customers will allow them to spend less on identity management in their project and allow us to recover costs to pay for the solution.
Awesome. Jim, do you have anything more to add?
No, I mean,
We didn't hear much from you.
well,
Go
I mean,
ahead.
I've got this guy that does.
I was going to say, he's a world. No wonder you bring him along there.
You
So.
know, he takes care of the security and everything else, so he does a fantastic job, and we couldn't be doing this without his leadership. So he does a
Wonderful.
great job.
Well, wonderful. Well, we really appreciate it. Gentlemen, y'all have anything else? Good to go? Well, we appreciate you being here, and be careful and safe travels today. I don't think today's too bad, but I think it's a preliminary for this weekend, aren't they? So is the game going to be on your call, Jim? What do you think, on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll be
It's a game.
noon game. We'll be there.
Oh, hopefully get the players there. So, all right. If there's nothing else, we will probably be having another meeting next Wednesday at the same time, and we do have one more item and stuff. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. If not, we stand adjourned.
Thank you all.